Okay, we're on Police Road in Anaheim in the aftermath of what happened to that young man who apparently was accosted by an off-duty police officer for ostensibly walking on his grass. We have a young man here who has agreed to tell us what happened, because is it correct that you were here and saw the whole thing?
I saw in the video, everything explains it there.
All right, were you here at the time that this happened?
No, I think I was walking home.
Okay, tell us what you know about this incident. What started this, do you know?
Well, supposedly the guy was like talking stuff about some girl. So he's
who's
some
he?
girl.
The man was talking some stuff about the girl.
Because he stepped on.
So the girl stepped on his grass
by accident, and he called her a cunt. And the eighth grader told him to respect the girl, and I think he got mad and he dragged him.
Whoa, wait a minute. So this off-duty police officer called a young girl the C word.
Yeah.
And one of her friends stuck up for him.
Yeah, all of them told him to respect the girl.
To respect the girl, and he went and proceeded to grab this young man.
Yes, and he started holding him. Everyone started telling him to let him go. He wouldn't let him go, so they tackled him over here. They started throwing punches at him, and then he pulled out the gun.
This is where it went. I could see this is where it happened over here.
This side of the area.
Yeah, the video clearly. I guess what I'm really curious about is what started this. So you're telling me it was just over a girl walking on his grass?
It's just a little argument.
Unbelievable. What do you think about this?
I think it's very wrong for an adult guy. I mean, you should know better than that.
Know better than what?
That you shouldn't be like arguing over grass, you know? He should respect, tell the girl like not to talk on my property. You guys can go off.
You know, I tend to agree with you. You know, we shouldn't be escalating things over walking on grass. I mean, there's a way to handle it. Like, please don't walk on the grass. Do we know for a fact that he called that girl the C word?
Yeah, it's on the video. He called her a cunt.
That's on this. That sound is on the video.
Yeah.
Wow. And so when we were walking over here, this is quite a way. So how did it end up over here? He lives 5 or 6 houses away.
Yeah, because I have no idea how he brought him over here.
He must have pursued him. Okay, what else do you have to say about this? You know, you're a young man. Are you in junior high, high school, or?
Yeah, I'm in high school.
You're in high school, so you go to Luera High School?
Yeah, I go.
What are the kids saying at Luera about this?
They're just talking about what happened and everything. That the kid said, "I'm gonna sue you," but the guy assumed that he said something bad, so the guy said in return, "I'm gonna shoot you." So he threatened him. He threatened the kid. That's wrong for an adult guy to do that.
You know, David, thank you very much, young man. I really appreciate it. David, if you can keep the camera going. You know, I've lived in this country my whole life, and I have to be honest with you. I've seen enough of police brutality. You know, we witnessed what we witnessed with the Kelly Thomas incident in Fullerton, where the police officers actually murdered Kelly Thomas on camera. And it went all the way through the criminal justice system, and the police officers were acquitted. No one went to jail over what happened to that man. What happened over here, from what we could see, appears to be an escalation of somebody walking on somebody's grass. Now, that is not illegal. If it's a trespassing offense, it's a misdemeanor, and how that's supposed to be handled is you're supposed to call the police and report the suspect and the incident. Apparently, there's not even any evidence of any damage done to this man's grass by this young man. So what we have here, apparently, is a grown man who lives in the house down the street, who is an off-duty LAPD officer, calling a young girl the C word over walking on his grass. So I believe, from what others have told me, and from my understanding, that is what started this whole altercation. Now, if that's the case, that man should be ashamed of himself, and if his grass is so precious, maybe he should put up a fence. But furthermore, what's really concerning here is that we have a young man who's probably 12 or 13, would you say?
13.
We have a 13-year-old boy coming to the defense of this girl. And so from what you're saying, he then grabbed this young boy and chased him all the way over here, dragged him over here.
Yeah, he started running.
So the boy was running over here, 8 houses away, and the guy, from what you could see, the off-duty officer in the video, was totally manhandling this kid. To me, it looked like an abduction. I mean, if that was my child, I would consider that a kidnapping. There was no probable cause or justification for that man to grab that child and drag him through these hedges over here. And then he turned around and pulled out a gun. Okay, let me ask you a question. I guess, if he was holding him with his right hand, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's assume he's right-handed. But then he reaches for his gun with his left hand while he's struggling to pull this child over these hedges against this child's will, who is no threat to him, because if he was, he should have patted the kid down. He didn't have to do what he did. If he was that worried about his safety, and if he was that concerned for his well-being in the situation, then he should have placed that child under a citizen's arrest and patted him down. He did no such thing. He dragged him by his shirt through these hedges against the will of that child, and with his strong hand held that child in a grip, and with his left hand, we can suppose his weak hand, pulled the gun out, and you can see him struggling to get the gun out. It's evidently clear to me, in my opinion, that he's not left-handed, and yet he took the gun out with his left hand, and it appears to me that this is a very fortunate incident to where that gun actually went off accidentally, maybe intentionally, but it's just very fortunate that little boy is alive, because it's clear to me that that was not a situation that could have ended the way it did. It could have ended tragically. You don't mess around with a gun. When you're struggling with your good hand with somebody, and your weak hand, the hand that you're not coordinated with, is used to shoot a gun or hold a gun, and it ends up going off. What does that tell you? That is, in my opinion, horrible judgment on behalf of this individual. I don't believe any protocols of an off-duty officer were followed here. He should have called the authorities, reported a trespassing, and if he was disrespected or threatened in any way by a little kid, he should have called the police with the proper identification of this child or the suspect and let the local authorities handle this. But instead, what does he do? He took the kid into custody himself, which in my opinion appears to be a kidnapping, child endangerment. I witnessed child endangerment here on these hedges. A gun went off by an off-duty police officer with a child in a death grip. The kid was being choked. There were children grabbing him, trying to pull him away. And everybody was fighting for this kid. You know, honestly, if that was my son, I would have done the same thing. That officer, in my opinion, had no right to take that child and drag him around over here. That child does not belong to that off-duty police officer. That child does not belong to the Anaheim Police Department. That child belongs to his parents. And I don't appreciate KFI making a joke about where this child's dad is in Arizona. I don't appreciate Mr. Conway and whoever the other guy is on the KFI show last night making a joke and marginalizing this kid's parents, and then having the mother quoted on KFI playing the videotape of this hysterical woman whose child could have been killed, making a mockery out of this child, and making a mockery out of this situation, and making a mockery out of her command of the language. I don't appreciate that. What is evidently clear to me is this is Gestapo tactics in action, Gestapo tactics at work here, and they're covering this up. There should have been an immediate detention of the officer. You can clearly see on the video what happened was he was basically shooting the breeze with the police, and the police had all the kids lined up, sitting down, getting ready to get arrested, and they had that 13-year-old on the ground spread eagle like he was a suspect. And the police officer that was off duty was under no such treatment. He was being treated as if he did nothing wrong, and nothing could be further from the truth in my opinion. I am not clear as to why the Anaheim Police Department has not prosecuted this man. I'm not clear on why the Anaheim Police Department is not doing something about this. This is a very, very serious issue. It's an abuse of authority. What I witnessed here, and I think everyone can agree with me with the video evidence that's been presented, is child endangerment was a clear situation here. That child that was in the control of that off-duty officer was not safe. And there is no reason to have escalated walking on your grass and name-calling into discharging a weapon. It is illegal to discharge a firearm in city limits. It is legal to discharge a firearm or brandish a firearm if you feel you're in imminent harm or your life is in imminent danger. There is no way a 13-year-old boy who weighs 70 pounds, who's being manhandled like a rag doll by this off-duty police officer, was any threat to him. What I believe happened here was this officer manufactured a false statement that this child made. This child stated, by his own admission, repeated in the video, that he said he's going to sue you. And I can understand why he said that, because he was chased, pursued, insulted, threatened, and then manhandled and grabbed and accosted on this property over here by the off-duty police officer. Of course the child's going to say, I'm going to sue you. What else is he going to say? he doesn't have much choice at that point. So the officer then, I believe, purposely fabricated the twisting of words to justify his behavior and to treat this as if that child was guilty of a criminal threat. And that, I believe, is what the officer in his twisted mind used as the impetus to detain this child. And I believe that's what's at work here. Now, will the district attorney look into this? Will the district attorney analyze these facts? Will the district attorney be honest? Let's look what the district attorney did with the Kelly Thomas case. Let's look what he does with all these other things. Well, let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. This is about children. This is about child abuse. This is about what is right, and this is about an abuse. This is about an abuse of authority that has been captured on camera. And this is about the minority community not having the voice it needs to defend itself, to have to finance an attorney when those children were arrested for trying to save what I believe was a child who was in imminent harm by the actions of this off-duty police officer. And that is unacceptable. We're going to be back and we'll give you more information on this as we get it. We're going to continue to tour this area and we'll show you some of the damage to the house from some of the people that were upset. I don't condone violence in any way. I condone nothing but the pen being mightier than the sword and civilized behavior as a solution to our problem. But we cannot solve our problems if people do not stand up and tell the truth, and if they're too afraid of the ramifications. Ladies and gentlemen, what is at stake are our children. And if this is acceptable behavior by off-duty police officers, are they just going to go around stealing kids and making up lies? Because that's what I believe happened here. I believe this guy made up a lie and he used it to try to steal this kid. What he planned on doing with this kid, I don't know. But it certainly looked like the kid could have almost been killed. And thank God he wasn't. This is Joe Imbriano on Palace Road in Anaheim. Thank you.